and then just have a conversation with myself on how long I want to continue to play. I don't know the answer to that right now, to be honest. So we'll see.
That was LeBron James last night following the Lakers' elimination by the Timberwolves in 5 games. It was also the conclusion of LeBron's 22nd season in the NBA. And now the Lakers, they face an offseason of questions. Will a 40-year-old LeBron James, who has a player option, be back? Will Luka Doncic sign an extension? How can they improve this roster? Well, head coach J.J. Redick, he began to answer some of that this morning at Lakers exit interviews.
I think it's hard sometimes to admit this, and maybe this is hard sometimes for a coach or a player to admit this. We lost to a better team. I mean, that's just the reality. We did. And we put ourselves in a position to win games 3, 4, and 5, and we weren't able to do that in the fourth quarter. And that's where I think you really have to evaluate and really try to grow from as a coach and certainly as a group, whatever that group looks like next year.
Okay, Danny Green, let's take a step back. How did we get here? Well, Minnesota was a matchup nightmare for the Lakers throughout this series that ended last night in 5 games. J.J. Redick, he pulled Jackson Hayes from the starting lineup and elected to go even smaller against the supersized Timberwolves. And Rudy Gobert turned into Wilt Chamberlain in this game here. We'll show you exactly what we mean. He was a problem.
Eye on him. He knows he got the mismatch. Finally taking advantage of it, punishing him inside with offensive rebounds and lob dunks. Can't leave him underneath the basket wide open.
And then a few possessions later, the Lakers, they just get into a little bit of a scramble mode here. And watch, again, it's Gobert. Right now, LeBron James is on him, but then LeBron goes to help. Nobody is watching Gobert. Gobert, again, he had 15 first-half points after having only 14 total in games 1 through 4. I asked Anthony Edwards to describe Rudy Gobert's night.
Rudy was the dragon. Yeah, he was a dragon tonight, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Nah, he wasn't a dragon from Antarctica. He was a dragon from Game of Thrones tonight.
How do you not have fun watching these guys?
A lot of, they didn't shoot well from 3, so you got to do. That's the only way they stayed in it. Some extra 3-pointers.
This is still a game. The Lakers within 2. Dorian Finney-Smith, huge, can't get to go, but who is there?
There goes that man. It's not Anthony Edwards.
Gobert had 24 points, 16 rebounds through just 3 quarters, but we had a 1-point game headed into the fourth quarter, in large part because to win the series 4 games to 1, end LeBron and the Lakers season. Here's Anthony Edwards on what that meant to him.
It means a lot. We beat the best players.
And that dramatically changed their lineup, and we just saw how the Wolves were able to take advantage here. After failing to land Mark Williams' size, it was an issue in this series. The Lakers struggled containing Minnesota's front line, who were all at least 6'9" or taller here. And you just see the fourth quarter comparisons, how much they struggled here, their fourth quarter struggles. The Wolves dominated in the fourth quarter the entire series, outscoring Los Angeles by 42 points across the 5 games, held them to under 30% from the floor. J.J. Redick, again, he defended the decisions that he made with this following the game.
We couldn't score, so there's a trade-off to everything with this. But we obviously put ourselves in a position to be in the game 3 times in the fourth quarter and just came up short every time. But again, the offensive part of it tonight in particular was. We missed wide open threes. We missed a couple shots at the rim. We got good looks.
Every season that I did not make it to the finals or did not win a championship has been a disappointment. So it'd be the same for me, it'd be the same off season of disappointment and unfulfillment, have an opportunity, to play longer and give yourself an opportunity to play for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. So nothing changes for me.
Okay, we're going to dive into more of the Timberwolves side of this matchup in just a little bit as we say hello to Brian Windhorst here and Kendrick Perkins as well. But Perk, why did, from the Lakers' perspective, they lose this series?
Because you heard JJ, he spoke only about offense. We missed wide open threes. We missed layups. We couldn't make a shot. Well, how about getting a stop? How about stopping Julius Randle, who had one of his best playoff series of his career on you? How about junking it up with Anthony Edwards? How about getting some rebounds. Because didn't Rudy have about 8 or 9 of them offensively yesterday? They dominated them on the glass. How about that end of the floor? That's the problem. When you talk about winning championships, it's not offense that win you championships, defense win you championships. And all the Lakers were worried about, all the substitutions, all the extended minutes was solely based on how can they be effective offensively and not enough focus on the defensive side of things.
You know, Malika, there was a pathway for the Lakers to make a run in this postseason. But they really needed everything to go just right. And from Luka getting sick in Game 3 to injuring his back a little bit last night, to just Austin Reeves going cold, to all the minutes LeBron played that seemed to wear on him, it just didn't go right. It had nothing to do with the fact that Minnesota also played great. It just didn't go right. And this actually kind of reminds me of where the Dallas Mavericks were with Luka Doncic 2 years ago. If you remember, they made a midseason trade for Kyrie Irving. Their roster was a little bit scrambled because of it, and they had to adjust their roster. They missed the playoffs. They drafted Derek Lively. That was their rim protector. They signed Derek Jones Jr. That was a wing athlete. They subsequently traded for Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington. None of those guys are superstars, but that built out the roster, and bam, the Mavericks are in the finals. The Lakers need to do that. No matter what they did this postseason, whether they had made the conference finals or whether they went out in 5 like they did here, they were going to have to make roster additions. So now that is obvious. That's what they have to do. They probably underachieved in this postseason, but them getting beat by the Wolves or any of the other playoff teams is not shocking. This team needed to be perfect, and they weren't.
Right. JJ Redick said it. He said, I'm not afraid to admit that we were beat by a team that is just better than we were. So where did the Lakers go from here, Danny?
When JJ said that, I don't think they were the better team. Like, they played better, yes, but I think Lakers have the better pieces.
They're deeper.
But, yes, it was just tough to watch because they got bullied last night, and they got bullied by Rudy Gobert, out of all people. Nobody in the sports world in 2025 had that on their bingo card of Rudy Gobert bullying the Lakers. And he did it. Julius Randle did it. Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, all those guys stepped up and played well. They beat them on the glass. The Minnesota Timberwolves only shot 15% from 3. So, they weren't scoring either. JJ talks about scoring. Perk is right. This defense is they couldn't rebound. They couldn't get guys off the glass. Rudy Gobert had 9 dunks. You can't give that up to Rudy Gobert. And fatigue. The fourth quarter, they got outscored 127-85.
Right.
They had no depth, like you said. They need more pieces. They need to find a big, but they need some depth to give those guys a break. LeBron James cannot play 40-plus minutes and the whole second half.
Right. We're going to have Bobby Marks joining us a little bit later in the show to lay out exactly what it is the Los Angeles Lakers can do here, Brian. But looking at what is out there, I hear you. The discourse is they need to get a center. Luka needs some... Perk, what's wrong? What's wrong, my friend?
A little frustrated there, big dog.
No, because here go the excuses, right? All season long, all I've been hearing about is the emergence of Austin Reeves, right? And I was one of them, averaging 20, 5, and 4, right? A guy that, hey, we can't call him a role player. He's too good to be called a role player. He has really made this Lakers, Luka and LeBron and Austin Reeves a big 3. And then all I've been hearing about is, what are the addition at the trade deadline of a pickup of Finney Smith? And then all of a sudden we come here and we like, oh, when is Vando coming back? Oh, they got Vando back into the lineup. Rui's back. He's been playing some outstanding basketball. And we get to this point where they get their ass kicked. And we come on here and talk about, and then all of a sudden they didn't have enough. They didn't have a championship caliber roster. I don't want to hear that. Before the series started, the Lakers had 3 out of the 5 best players, Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. And you can mix in Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. However order you want to put it in, the Lakers came into this series favored. They got outplayed, and it's a failed season.
Well, I don't think LeBron disagrees with you. He says it's a failed season whenever I don't make it to the finals, whenever I don't win the finals. I am curious, Brian, if it's not, I don't believe, looking at this roster, they don't believe that this was a championship roster. I hear what you're saying, Perk. But if that's not the reason, then what is?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbalanced. They traded 2 rotation players to get Luka Doncic, so you're already a deficit there, and it happened so close to the deadline they couldn't backfill. And as soon as they decided to veto the Mark Williams trade, then they were just not in position to help the roster. I mean, Mark Williams, in the 21 games he played after the trade was vetoed, averaged 15 points, 10 rebounds, and shot 62%. He stands 7'1". If you don't think it would have been a difference in this series, I don't know what to say. The Lakers gave up 38 more baskets in the paint than they scored. But the Lakers felt that Williams wasn't going to be healthy enough long term. But as soon as they made that decision, they put themselves in position to be exposed like this. And that's what happened. There could have been ways they could have gotten around it. Luka could have been amazing. He could have averaged 38 points in this series. LeBron could have been amazing. Austin Reeves was great down the stretch, but he wasn't in this series. And if things didn't all click perfectly, the Lakers were going to be in trouble, and they were in trouble in this series. And honestly, I think that's the only fair way to look at it. I don't think this team underachieved. I think they got overwhelmed, but I don't think this team underachieved. I think this was about where they belonged. They had a chance to do something special that was taken away from them by a better team.
And I think that is a microcosm of what the Western Conference is this year. 2 through 7, the talent gap there is so narrow. It just depends on how the cookie crumbles. And for right now, this went the Minnesota Timberwolves' way. In 5, they combined for just 6 of 22 shots. It's their worst combined field goal percentage in a game since becoming teammates. And that performance, it led the Warriors to trailing by as many as 31 on the night. As for the Rockets, they're firing on all cylinders, but bad space jokes aside, Houston starters, they combined for 101 points. That is the most by any Rockets starting 5 in a playoff game since Game 4 of the 2020 first round against the Thunder. And a huge reason for the Rockets' production in Game 5, it was Alperen Şengün. He missed out on a triple-double and through 5 games has become the 5th player to average 20 points, 10 boards, 5 dimes to start his playoff career. But it was another Rocket that our resident Houston area detective was investigating last night.
I'm Kendrick Perkins, better known as Big Perk, and nothing gets past me. Freeze! Just when you thought it did get past me, there I am. I spy a problem. I spy it all. Carry the hell on. You damn right. I'm watching everything. It's the postseason. I ain't sleeping. I ain't drinking. I ain't eating. Damn it, I'm spying it all. And I spy a problem for the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry. His name is Ahmed Thompson, okay? His defense on Steph Curry last night on his heels like a pair of church socks. I want you to watch him right here. You look at it, he's guarding Gary Payton II, but his eyes are on Steph Curry. Look at him come in and get the block. Look at him get out in transition. Okay, here we are again. Steph Curry we're talking about. A generational talent with the handles. I'm gonna pick you up at the half court. Cookies, let me get that. And I'm out on the break. I'm slam dunking that. This is a problem. Steve Kerr has to take Steph Curry off the ball and make him move in the floppy action. Otherwise, Thompson is gonna give Steph Curry hell, and they gotta figure it out before Game 6.
Hey, how about the Thompson twins? Now look, I say one of the best ways you can identify yourself as having star quality is how do you perform in closeout games and elimination games. Basically, you got a chance to put somebody down or keep your season alive. Look at the Thompson twins the last 2 nights. 2 nights ago, Ausar Thompson on the road in the Garden. 22 points on 8 of 10 shooting. You know these guys are going to play at the defensive end. Ausar is, a little bit behind on men offensively, but what an explosion when the Pistons absolutely needed it. And how about 8 stocks from Amen last night? 5 steals, 3 blocks. My God, what a performance. And then when he can give you this kind of offensive input, he is a superstar level player. He is a superstar defensively already. And when he gets going offensively like he did in this game, holy Moses. A very, very impressive showing by the Twins in these their first experience facing closeouts. What a response.
I mean, Amen and Ausar Thompson, they brought it on both ends. You're right, fellas. But did you catch this? Before the game, this photo of Steph went viral. You can check out the swelling on that right thumb. Steph has been dealing with that thumb injury since January. Here's what he had to say about it after the game.
State of your thumb right now?
Cold.
There was a picture, I don't know if you've seen it online, where it looks pretty swollen. I think it was with you walking to the plane.
You got the feds on me? What are you talking about? I don't even know how to answer it. It's just something you're dealing with and you keep it moving. As long as I can play. You got to rap for a reason, but that's it.
Do you feel it's impacting your game at all?
No. No. Not at all.
you're gonna come play the game injured or whenever you got, it's all about the game. You know, if I had an injured ankle, I would attack that ankle every single time. So, whatever they're saying on the broadcast, they can keep saying it.
I mean, I hear what Steph is saying and what Dillon Brooks is saying about attacking it, but when you see a thumb that's that swollen, it's hard to imagine that doesn't affect your shot. But you've made over 1,500 NBA
I've made a couple.
threes.
I've made a couple.
So can you just show, does it affect
I'm not the
his
great
shot?
shooter in the world. No, I don't think it should affect the shot. He's been playing with this for a while now. They said since damn near January at this point. It'll affect his dribbling and his catching. And so when you are shooting, you do need to get good catches. But ultimately when it comes to shooting, the two important fingers that you need are your index finger and your middle finger, really. So when he releases it, it's coming off like that, and most shooters just use those two fingers. So he should be okay. But when it comes to other things, playing defense, getting deflections, and them trying to attack that thumb, what Dillon Brooks said.
Okay.
And when he shoots, and it can affect when he releases it, they don't call fouls anymore. They call it the high five. So if they keep high fiving that thumb, it's going to wear him down some and maybe give him some fatigue. As you see in his answer, he kind of gave a hesitation because he didn't want to let them know it does affect him a little bit.
Right.
But he's mentally tough. He should play through it. He'll be fine. He's the greatest shooter in the world that we've seen.
It's not necessarily his shot, right? It's kind of those other things that we're going to have to keep an eye on when they play that Game 6 right here on ESPN. Still
27 for Rudy Gobert.
We missed wide open threes. We missed a couple shots at the rim.
Wow, a blown miss bunny by Luka. Minnesota is going to win this series and knock out the Lakers 4-1. Shocking here.
Since my first NBA Finals appearance, I think in 2007, every season that I did not make it to the finals or did not win a championship has been a disappointment.
The Lakers, they won the 2020 championship and have more first-round exits than playoff series wins since that title run. Now, an offseason of questions about the future begins. LeBron, he was asked about his.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, we don't even, man, listen, it's a business too. So you don't know what the roster will look like next year, besides the guys that's locked into contracts. So we don't, I mean, I got a lot to think about myself. So I don't know what the roster will look like. I don't know what I'm, where I stand right now.
So this offseason, it may be started a little earlier than many expected for the Lakers. Dave McMenamin joining us now from the Lakers practice facility in El Segundo, where J.J. Redick, Rob Pelinka, they just held exit interviews. What was the prevailing theme, Dave, from the two of them?
Yeah, Malika, no one in the building thought they would be here today this soon and facing an offseason full of questions. J.J. Redick said it kind of hurts to admit that the Wolves were the better team, and Rob Pelinka basically spoke about why they were the better team, admitting that his roster was not constructed properly, having the help that they needed in the middle. And so that's his number one priority, he said, is to get a center or centers for them to play with next year. But there's a lot of work for this entire organization to do this summer.
We have a ways to go as a roster, and certainly there are individuals that were in phenomenal shape. There's certainly other ones that could have been in better shape. That's where my mind goes immediately is we have to get in championship shape.
I think LeBron's going to have high expectations for the roster, and we're going to do everything we can to meet those.
So obviously part of LeBron's expectations will be, as I mentioned, Rob Pelinka finding some help at the center position for this team. Pelinka said he thinks it's going to be a offseason that's rife with a ton of player movement around the league. But one name that Lakers fans should not anticipate moving from LA is Austin Reeves. Austin told us last night that he didn't play up to his standard in the first round against the Wolves, but Rob Pelinka said he has total faith in Austin, Luka, and LeBron as the pillars of this organization moving forward. So don't be looking for the Lakers to upgrade necessarily at a star position by using Austin Reeves. It's about more finding the right role players around those three.
Yeah, maybe some moves around the margin here for the Los Angeles Lakers. Dave McMenamin, thank you so very much for your reporting throughout this series. So we can expect some changes this offseason for Los Angeles, but as for where the front office should start, let's start with our expert, Bobby Marks. Bobby, we've heard again and again here, the Los Angeles Lakers, they need a center. That's how Luka Doncic thrives. We know that, but I'm struggling to see what assets they have to go out and get that guy, and who is that guy? What should the priority be?
Well, Malika, this is the roster that started last night in the game 5. I keep on going back to Rob Pelinka, what he said in February, that this roster was a work in progress. And when you look at the offseason, this is their to-do list, and this is what they have available. You've got to figure out what's going to happen with LeBron James. That's the first thing. He's got a $53 million player option. He has until June 29th to opt in or opt out of the contract. That basically kind of sets the table for this offseason. Then you've got your 2 extensions. It's Luka on August 2nd, 4 for $229. As Dave mentioned, Austin Reeves also extension eligible, 4 for $90. Now here are your 2 big things. You've got to find yourself a starting center. If it wasn't well known, it was well known last night that they need a starting center. They have draft assets. They have got a 2031 first-round pick. They've got swap rights in 5 years. They've got what I call these sweet spot contracts. There's 10 players between $2 and $20 million. Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, Gabe Vincent. And then the other thing is, how do you build playoff depth? Not regular season depth, but playoff depth.
And that is going to be their task. All of this because Anthony Edwards, we might as well start calling him Kingslayer. And he is today's electric moment, brought to you by Hyundai. So let's take it back to the first round last year. And he led the Wolves to a sweep over the Suns and his personal idol, Kevin Durant. He capped it off with 40 points in the closing game. And then next up, he ended Denver's shot at a repeat. He sent the reigning MVP packing. The Wolves completed a 20-point comeback in Game 7 to knock out the Denver Nuggets. And that all brings us back to last night. He took down the king, LeBron James, in 5 games. And 2 birds, 1 stone, a little revenge over Luka Doncic, who eliminated the Wolves in 2024 as a member of the Mavericks. Right after the game, he let everyone know who won in 5.
Wolves in 5. Wolves in 5. Wolves in 5, John. Oh, big room, MVP, baby. We were waiting on the man. He picked the best game to do it. Man, let's go get another 4.
It's a new era for the Timberwolves. They've won playoff series in back-to-back years for the first time in franchise history. Over the last 2 years, Minnesota has won 3 playoff series after winning just 2 across their first 34 seasons in the NBA. And Edwards took his message to the Los Angeles streets. He let everybody outside of Crypto.com Arena know it, too.
Man, they've been talking all week. Hey, all the analysts said what they say. Lakers in 5. And then look, when we was up 3-1, they said Lakers in 7. And they said, go to hell today. Hey, Ty, what is it? Hey, the good guy gonna die in this movie. Hey, the good guy gonna die in this movie.
He is just too much fun here. Perk, what did Anthony Edwards show you in this series?
I know he said he don't want to be the face of the league, but he might not have a choice. I mean, he is a straight killer, taking down all giants from Jokic last year, KD, now Bron and Luka, and now possibly is going to face Steph in the next round. And again, I said this before, Malika, he's every former player favorite player. Ask Danny right now who's his favorite player in the NBA. Ask Danny right now.
It might be that guy. It definitely, he's one of them. It's that guy.
I know, and so what I'm saying is I'm seeing it grow. Even though he went 5 for 19 from the field yesterday, he still was the floor general that helped them win that game. The 8 assists, the 11 rebounds, the tenacity defensively, giving people confidence. He gave me confidence to be on this TV talking about his game. That's how much I miss with Anthony Edwards. Real, man. He's a dog, and I know he don't want it, but it might just be there for him anyway.
For sure. I mean, as much as I love to watch him, he's one of my favorite guys, and everybody watching the game loves to watch Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
I got to give a lot of flowers to Julius Randle. This guy had an unbelievable series, and when the trade happened, a lot of people doubted whether or not Minnesota would be one of those teams to even get out of the first round or even in the playoffs. They've really hit their stride, and he has hit his stride toward the end of the season and coming in. Anthony Edwards did not have a great shooting night last night. He played pretty bad. Shooting-wise. So defensively, he was great, but Juju stepped up. Him and Rudy Gobert, of course, they bullied the Lakers time and time again on the glass. But he was an enforcer, man, and he's been unbelievable toward the end of the season for the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
And they're looking like a team that could get back to that Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, given what we saw from Julius Randle, from Rudy Gobert, even Mike Conley hitting a big shot there down the stretch as we showed in the highlight at the top of the show, Brian, it had me thinking, being around this team, seeing the energy they had, knowing that the Golden State Warriors and Houston Rockets sort of continue to beat up on each other, and Minnesota is just sitting at home waiting for the winner of that series. What does their path look like from here to you? Because it seems pretty bright.
Yeah, so remember, they finished the season 17-4, and they had a favorable schedule, and people sort of overlooked that finish because of that favorable schedule, but they really built that momentum, and now you build it out. It's 22-5, and they just won a series where they won twice in Los Angeles. And look, one of the things that you love about Anthony Edwards, to use a phrase from Jared Allen of the Cavs, he plays ethical basketball. Yes, he dunks. Yes, he talks trash, but guess what? He plays at both ends of the court, and he always makes the right play. He gets the double team, he finds his teammate. You know, he swings it. He's not always looking to take the glory and everything like that. He does what his team needs to win. That is how you win and upset teams as the lower seed. You use your entire roster. You save yourself, and then you let it go when you have the opportunity. He has 43 points in Game 4 to give them big leverage. Last night, he feeds Rudy Gobert to make sure Gobert has his big moment. And I would just say, before we move on about Rudy Gobert, this is a guy who, for the last year, had to watch 1,000 times on this network Luka Doncic hit the three over him and say, "You can't bleeping guard me." He gets back at Luka last night. He is the guy who couldn't be guarded last night. He didn't have his mouth running like that. We're not going to watch the highlights, but they're going to watch him in France for the next 12 months, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. And the fact that they won in so many different ways with so many guys leading the charge here, that is why Minnesota is so dangerous. Hey, before we go to break, we do have some news here out of Phoenix. Our senior insider, Shams Charania, is reporting that the Suns are naming a new head of basketball operations, promoting Vice President Brian Gregory to be the franchise's new general manager. James Jones will transition into a role as a senior advisor for the organization. In Jones's tenure, the Suns, they made the playoffs in 4 straight seasons from 2021 to 2024, including a finals run. But Phoenix went just 36-46 this year, their worst record since 2018-19. Even their first round series tonight with a home win against the Knicks. Sounds simple enough, but it's been a while since Detroit fans have seen a game won in the playoffs at home. In fact, it's been over 6,000 days since their last home win, which came way back May 26, 2008. So now joining us from Detroit, our senior writer, Chris Herring. Chris, as the Knicks look to eliminate, let's try that again. That sounds like Perk trying to say McMenamin yesterday. The Pistons tonight in Game 6. What is the biggest challenge facing Jalen Brunson in this closeout game?
I think it's the challenge that he's had most of the series, but just in spots. It's that Ausar Thompson has done a pretty good job on him as a second-year defender. He's a lot taller, a lot longer than everybody else has been guarding him. It's generally been Dennis Schroeder when it hasn't been Ausar Thompson. And I think the fact that Thompson in Game 5 was able to play well offensively and able to stay out of foul trouble for really the first time to have that combination. We saw him on Jalen Brunson for longer in Game 5. Because of it, Jalen Brunson was 1 for 7. He had a series worst 4 for 16 points. He acknowledged, like, I got to make better decisions with the ball. And he acknowledged that Ausar Thompson is a really good defender who kind of gives him and the Knicks problems. So from that standpoint, I think the thing that now that they want to figure out is how do we make it so Ausar Thompson isn't as comfortable on the floor offensively? And that was something that Josh Hart talked about today in practice, is that they just want to try to give him a little bit less space to cut in Game 5 going forward.
Yeah, it's been a heck of a week for the Thompson twins here. This series, it has all the markings of maybe, just maybe, could it go 7? Chris Herring, thank you so much for stopping by NBA Today. Friday night, the NBA playoffs first round continues on ESPN at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. Game 6 between Jalen Green and the Rockets, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and the Warriors leading the series 3-2. Coverage ships with NBA Countdown. That's at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific here. And the Rockets, they'll actually have a stake in this year's NBA draft lottery. We're only 11 days away from knowing who will get the presumptive #1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg here. But Flagg isn't the only player who could be a franchise-altering guy. According to our Jonathan Givony, Rutgers duo Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, they're projected to go number 2 and 3. VJ Edgecombe, Jeremiah Fears, and then friend of the show, Trey Johnson as well. We mentioned his name, and look, he appears. Who better to break this all down with us, with the lottery being just a couple of days away here, than the draft expert himself, Jonathan Givony. We mentioned it, 11 days away. I want to take just a little bit of a closer look here, Givony, if we could, at the rest of the top 6 talent here, because when you see, you've been here for workouts all week, but there's not as many entrants this year, early entrants to the draft, as there were last year. Why is that?
Malika, in a word, money.
Okay.
NIL has reshaped the college game. Average players now, backups at the high major level, are making $500,000, $600,000 in college. Second and third best players are making $2.5, $3 million. If you're not a guaranteed first-round pick in today's NBA draft, you have to go back to college. It's really been a huge boon for the college basketball world. They're drawing in the best talent from all over the world, and they're retaining incredible talent. And it's going to be great for the NBA long-term also, because we're going to see more ready players coming to the NBA, guys with more experience, stronger, more mature. I just think it's win-win-win for everybody.
And yet still, even though we just saw it down from the 363 early draft entrants 4 years ago, there's still the way that executives are talking about this draft is that it's incredibly deep. We know some of the talent that someone like Cooper Flagg, for example, brings. Is there someone else that you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, so I've spent the last few days traveling all over Southern California, watching all of the best players in this draft prepare for the pre-draft process. And a guy that really stood out to me is Trey Johnson in Santa Barbara. He's been there for 4.5 weeks, has already taken over 30,000 shots in that span. They've tracked every shot that he's taken. And Malika, he has not missed many of those shots from what I saw with my own eyes. 6'6", huge wingspan, incredible shot-making prowess, range, ability to come off screens, shoot off the dribble. But really what impressed me the most is the laser focus that he has in this pre-draft process, with the attention to detail that goes into working on his body every day, working on his mind, and working on his craft. Trey Johnson is going to be a guy that I can't wait to see at the NBA Combine next week.
Absolutely. It was great having him declare here on NBA Today as well. Is there an NBA player currently that you think he best compares to?
So the player that they really have him studying is Devin Booker, who, if you remember, coming out of Kentucky, Devin Booker was a spot-up shooter. He was really just a scorer. But as his career moved forward, he turned into a more all-around player who can play pick and roll, who can make decisions with the ball, and who can really pass. He averaged 7 assists per game this year. Devin Booker is a guy that Trey Johnson is really studying, because he wants to be that level of player. He doesn't want to be a guy that's